Okay, and again, don't know who will join, but hopefully we have a good crowd, and we'll see.
That's all right. If it's you and me, you'll just have to do all the work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How was the weather in Australia today?
We actually we're just moving into spring, so we had a beautiful day
Nice,
yesterday. It was about
nice.
20 degrees.
Oh, nice.
Very exciting.
Awesome, awesome. That's good. I heard it was very hot in summer in Australia.
Yes, we get crazy, crazy hot spells, and then it drops like 20 degrees in one day.
Oh my
Like we
God.
get all in Melbourne, we get all four seasons in one day. So
Amazing,
it's
amazing.
interesting place to live.
Yeah, yeah. I think the land is too big that you can go through different seasons or different types of, you know, weather. I guess, or is it all the same weather across all Australia?
No, it's different in each state. So Melbourne is a bit more seasonal.
Okay.
Sydney, Queensland, they tend to, New South Wales and Queensland tend to be a little bit hotter and a little bit, and then they have their sort of, cyclones and tornadoes and that sort of stuff that we don't really get in Melbourne. And then on the West Coast, it's very, very hot. Central Australia, very, very hot. Northern Territory, very, very hot. So it's a real mixture of weather and very different landscape in each state as well, which makes it quite interesting.
Yeah. I never been to Australia or that side yet, but maybe one day. Who knows?
Yes, I like the word yet. I talk about yet in my
Yes.
presentation. So, yes, the power of manifestation.
Absolutely. So we have already some folks joined. Hey Harley. Uh, hey Harley.
Hey
Hey
there.
Barbara. How are you guys? We're just warming up, for a few minutes until everybody join, and we'll kick it off maybe 6:03. I'll kick it off, and then I'll hand it over to Sarah. So where are you guys calling from?
I'm in Ottawa.
Oh, nice, cool. You're local. Where about in
Yep.
Ottawa?
Barhaven.
Oh, nice. I'm in Canada.
Oh,
Cool.
cool. We're neighbor.
Yeah, very close. Yeah, just 20 minutes.
Yeah.
What about you, Barbara?
I'm in Kirkland, Washington, which is basically a suburb of Seattle.
Oh, nice, nice. How was the weather? Is it raining in Seattle?
No, this is we have 2 months of the year where it doesn't rain. And it's really nice. And so we're in that right now. So
Oh, amazing. That's beautiful.
yes.
That's beautiful. Cool, cool, cool. Awesome. And Sarah is from Australia, so she has definitely a different weather, different time zone. She's on Friday actually now. We're all on Thursday, but she's on Friday, so she's ahead of us. She can tell us the future.
Yes, yes, yeah. But originally from the UK, so I'm still very connected to Europe and their time zone. I get very jealous when it's the opposite season and we're in winter and they're in summer and all my friends are posting their photos.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, do you go there often, or do it's a tough flight, I guess. How many hours?
Yeah. Look, it's a good 24 to 36 hour journey
Oh
door to
my
door for
gosh.
me back
Oh my
to
God.
home. So yeah, no, I've unfortunately been the last 7 years that I've been going back. It's been for funerals, unfortunately, rather than for pleasure. So the next trip is to just go and see the places that I never explored when I lived there, but thinking that they were always going to be on my doorstep. So I'm looking forward to that.
Amazing, amazing. Awesome. I think let's kick it off.
Mister?
I'm sure there is some folks who are going to join us soon, but for the sake of those who joined on time, let me just start the recording before I forget, and then. Where is the recording? Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. My name is Ahmed Zayed. I'm your host. I'm the founder of FutureCareer.net. where I help people land jobs in 3 months or less, specifically in US and Canada. I've been in the IT space or tech for almost a decade. I work with Microsoft, Indeed, PwC, Cisco, and others. And I've been running this community since almost COVID, 2020. And today I'm very proud and honored to have Sarah. She's coming back to the community. She used to deliver a ton of great calls with me at Microsoft at the time when I was leading the community at Microsoft, and her presence was amazing. She delivered a ton of wisdom and left everybody wondering, about when can we get her back. So Sarah is a transformational coach, a best-selling author, and a former HR leader. I'll let her give her introduction as well. But the topic of today is mostly thriving under pressure. Sorry, we all face pressure, whether it's during the work or during the job search, during our work and life at home. So today Sarah is going to equip us with tools and techniques that would help us with those kind of pressure and how to manage those pressure. Sarah, we're very, very excited to have you today. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. What a beautiful introduction. I am very happy to be here, and let's kick it off. So hello. Today we're going to be discussing and talking about ways to manage stress and pressure, specifically at work. So in part one of this talk, I'm going to very briefly share a little bit about myself, just to explain why I'm so passionate about this work. And then we'll discuss how our mindset can be supportive or detrimental in the workplace. We're going to look at a couple of studies from Dr. Joe Dispenza and Dr. Moto on the power of thoughts and words and the impact that these have on us physiologically. And then part two is an opportunity for us to learn more about our inner critic and the things that we say to ourselves in our head. And we're also going to learn about Deepak Chopra's studies and experience some mindfulness and meditation tools and techniques that can support our minds so that we feel less stressed and are more productive. If we have time, which we may not, then we will talk about boundaries. And then in part three, I will share how we can connect and take any questions. So as you can tell from my accent, I'm originally from the UK and I emigrated to Melbourne, Australia in 2009. I'm a mum to 3 beautiful children, and I live and work by the beach as a transformation coach, fertility coach, best-selling author, speaker, and Reiki practitioner. And my focus is to empower people to prioritize their well-being so that they can embrace their true potential in all aspects of life. Prior to emigrating to Australia, I spent 6 years studying at university and 10 years working in corporate HR for companies like Rolls-Royce and Airbus, the plane manufacturer. And I was really lucky to be able to work with the engineers who designed, built and delivered the A380 aircraft that we all now fly on to go on holiday. So during that time, I supported hundreds of senior managers and their teams to resolve their professional and personal issues and deal with work pressure. And as you can imagine, in that environment, the consequence of not managing stress and making wrong decisions was potentially catastrophic. So the job was very pressured, and at the same time, I was struggling to have a second child. In 2009, I ended up in intensive care due to a disastrous IVF cycle, and the doctors were unable to stop my deterioration, and it became this mental battle to survive. And I firmly believe that mindfulness and meditation saved my life, and that is why I'm so passionate about mindset, understanding the power of our minds, and sharing mindfulness, meditation, and other strategies to help reduce stress. So we're now going to talk a little bit about mindset. And what we know is that we often can't change the circumstances and challenges that come our way in the work environment, but we can change the way that we respond. And this starts with our thoughts. So I want to start by asking you 3 questions, and I'd love you to type your answers in the comments box and just have a guess. There's no prize for the right answers. But question 1, how many thoughts do you think we have in one day? Millions. Yep, 50,000. Yep, you're close with 50,000. So, according to Dr. Joe Dispenza, who's an American scientist, author, and educator, it's between 60 to 70,000 thoughts, which is obviously a lot. So, my second question for you is, what percentage of our thoughts are negative?
Sarah, did we lose you? You're frozen. Sarah, can you hear us? Guys, can you hear me? I just want to check if it's me or is it Sarah?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, so maybe Sarah just have an internet fluctuation. So let's give her a few minutes. Okay. She dropped totally, so I think she will get back soon. Sorry about that.
Did I disappear?
Yeah, we lost you totally, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It was
Sorry,
an
how
internet issue.
annoying.
No worries. If you wanna.
All right.
Okay.
I am back. Can you let me
You just need
share
to
the
share your screen.
screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we
Okay.
can see the
Is that
screen.
working?
Yeah. Now it's working. Yeah.
All right. My apologies.
No worries.
Okay, so we were saying, you've been typing your answers. Very good, thank you. 40%, 60%. So what percentage of our thoughts are negative? The answer is actually 80%.
Ooh.
And my final question, what percentage of our thoughts are repeated from the day before? So what percentage of our thoughts are repeated from the day before? 70%. Yeah, close. So the answer is actually 90%. So to summarize, we have 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. 80% of those are negative and 90% are repeated from the day before. So what that actually means is that our brains are very tired repeating the same thoughts throughout the day. Often our thoughts are not quality thoughts, and we can spend a lot of time dwelling on the past and worrying about the future, which increases our stress levels. And some of our thoughts are also very self-critical, so things that we would never dream of saying to anyone else. So while all of this is taking place, we actually have a reduced capacity for managing stress, problem solving, being productive, and making effective decisions. And what we also know is that we can only make positive changes in our lives and manage stress better when we are present in the moment. So the decisions that we make right now can influence our future. And learning to be present and to calm our minds and to increase the space between our thoughts is a vital skill that can be life-changing. So I'd like to now introduce you to a study by Dr. Masaru Emoto, who is a Japanese researcher and author of the book, The Hidden Messages in Water. And he was known for his work in the field of water crystal photography. He claimed that human consciousness could affect the molecular structure of water. So he conducted experiments in which water was exposed to various positive and negative thoughts, words, and emotions, and then frozen in Petri dishes to observe the formation of water crystals. And he believed that positive and negative intentions could influence the resulting crystal patterns. On this slide, you can see some of the molecular structures of the water. And what he discovered was that water has memory. So words like "you fool," which you can see at the top in the middle, and "I can't do it," which is the middle left, cause the water droplets to lose their form. And you can also see what happened to the water before and after prayer was offered to Fujiwara's dam water. and that's the middle right and the bottom on the right-hand side. So you can see those before and after photos, which is quite interesting. And then in Tokyo, the impact of 500 people sending remote love energy to Tokyo's tap water is shown by the images on the bottom left-hand side and the bottom middle. So there's a big difference there. This slide shows that expressions of gratitude, love, and peace created beautiful water crystals. And the same thing happened when water was exposed to music, like Edelweiss by the Sound of Music and Imagine by John Lennon. And what's interesting is that the same effects were actually observed when these words were written over a sample of water. So it's not just verbal words that matter, it's also written words. So why is this experiment important and what does it mean for us? According to H. Mitchell's research, the human brain is composed of 73% water, along with the heart. Our lungs, kidneys, and muscles are about 83% water, and skin 64%. And even our bones are made up of 31% water. So to summarize, our bodies are composed of a lot of water. Water is essential for various bodily functions. Water has memory and is impacted by both positive and negative intentions. Our bodies are affected by the 60 to 70,000 daily thoughts. Our bodies are also affected by our words, both spoken and written, and our emotions. So when we engage in unkind self-talk or we share negativity with others, this does affect us physiologically and it impacts our performance at work. He also went on to, Dr. Emoto also carried out an experiment with rice, very simple one. He placed rice covered in water in 3 glass beakers, and to the first beaker he said, "Thank you." To the second beaker, he said, "You're an idiot." And the third beaker, he completely ignored. After 1 month, the rice that he thanked began to ferment, giving off a strong, pleasant aroma. The rice in the second beaker that he said, "You're an idiot" to, turned black. And the rice that was ignored began to rot. So Dr. Emoto believed that how we treat ourselves and each other, what we think and say, does matter. But perhaps the most interesting insight from Dr. Emoto is that indifference, so the third beaker, does the greatest harm as shown by beaker 3. So if you do manage a team, perhaps that's something just to be aware of, that we can think that as long as we're not having difficult conversations with our teams, that, and we're just letting people get on with things, that's maybe not a problem. But indifference, and we too, if we feel indifference from our manager, then that does impact us quite negatively. So I mentioned at the beginning that we were going to talk about our inner critic, and we know that our thoughts are powerful. They can either make us feel better about ourselves, or they can move us further into self-doubt and exacerbate stress. What we're going to do now is an exercise called Taming the Inner Critic, where we consider the critical things that we say to ourselves in the work environment. And bear with me, I know this doesn't sound like it's going to be a lot of fun, but the reason that we do this is because when we shine a light on something that we're trying to hide or ignore or we're ashamed of, we disempower it. So I'm not sure whether any of you have followed the work of Dr. Brené Brown, but she does a lot of research and talks a lot. She's done amazing TED Talks about shame and vulnerability, and she very much talks about the importance of shining a light on those things that we are ashamed of, talking about them, bringing them into the light so that we can disempower them. So I'm not going to ask you to share your answers as we work through this activity. This is just for you and your own awareness. So take this time, if you can, to be as honest with yourself. So if you have a piece of paper and pen, that would be great. And I'm going to read through a list of the common voices of the inner critic. And as I'm reading these, I invite you to think about which of these sound familiar, especially in moments of stress, failure, or doubt. So, you're not smart enough. You always mess things up. Why even try? You'll just fail. You're too sensitive. You should have done more. You're not good enough to be here. What's wrong with you? You don't deserve success. No one really likes you. People are going to find out you're a fraud. So you may be able to identify with some of those. And if we take a moment to look at the slide, you can see that I've put some of these thoughts and others into categories. So we have self-doubt and competence, perfectionism and overwork, fear of judgment, and imposter syndrome and comparison. I do want to reassure you that we all have these types of thoughts. It doesn't matter where we are professionally, what we've achieved. We all go through self-doubt at some point in our careers, often when we're at a point where we're about to up level or we've just been promoted, and those feelings of being a fraud come in and feeling like we're not good enough. And at the core of all of these thoughts is that fear of not being good enough. And we experience that in our personal life, obviously, too, in relationships and in connections with others. So using this slide as a prompt, I would love for you just to start to write down some of the critical things that you say to yourself on repeat that may be impacting your stress levels and also potentially holding you back professionally. And when you've finished, if you can just write finished in the chat for me, that would be awesome. I'll just give you a couple of minutes to do that.
And Sarah, while we're waiting, I think there is some static coming from your side, maybe from the other phone or maybe from your mic. So if you can maybe, I don't know, stop the audio or check the static. You know, there is some static. I don't know where
Is in feedback.
Yeah, now it's good. I think. Did you do something?
No, I haven't done anything. Everything is on my phone is on mute.
Yeah. No,
but
it's coming back now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if are you using a mic or are you using?
I'm using a mic and I've got headphones in.
Maybe the headphones or the mic, maybe. But anyway, I think it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal.
Okay. If I take my headphones out, it will make it worse.
Can you try? Maybe take your headphones. Sorry, take your phone. Take your phone off, or switch off your phone.
I can maybe. Okay, we'll do this. I will, because there's just a few of us on the call anyway. Yeah. I will. I'll turn my phone off, and then if you can you might need to read out the things in the chat.
I'll help you
for me.
Sure. Yeah, I'll help.
Yeah. All right. No worries.
Okay. I think Farouk finished.
Yep.
He has all the beige ones.
Yeah. Yes.
Harley done.
Okay. And I think that real perfectionism one is a big one. I know I call myself a recovering perfectionist. And one of my drivers has always been be perfect and a people pleaser. So you can imagine the stress that causes in my life, which I have to work at on a daily basis. Okay, so if you have a look at the list of the words and phrases that you've just written down, please can you highlight what you consider to be the top recurring thought that brings you down the most, that makes you feel the least positive? So my next question for you is, where do you think your internal critical voice comes from? Perhaps that might be family or your upbringing, school or teachers, work culture, past jobs, past boss, social conditioning, society, internalized comparison, or maybe even a self-protection or defense mechanism. So just have a think about where that internal critical voice comes from. My next question is, whose voice does it sound like? So I know for myself, I can hear my parents, I can hear my teachers, I can hear past bosses, but where does your voice come from? Who does that sound like?
Does it have to be the same voice all the time, or maybe different voices?
No, it can be lots of different voices. I've got a whole party going on in my head. Yeah, I've got parents, I've got teachers, I've got past bosses, I've got neighbors, I've got, I've got the whole shebang going on.
Okay, so I'm I thought I'm different. Then we're good.
Okay, my next question is, would you say those same critical things to someone else? And the likely answer to that is no, that we're actually kinder to other people than we are to ourselves, which is a real shame, because when you think about it, the relationship that we have with ourselves is the most important one. It's the only one that's guaranteed. It's the one that's with us from the moment we take our first breath and our last breath. Yet we are often more unkind to ourselves than we are to those other people in our lives that we love. So we're now going to consider what a compassionate voice would say to you yourself instead. So I'll give you a couple of clues and then you can write down your own. So if the critic says you're not experienced enough for this job or you're failing, the compassionate voice might say, you're learning. Everyone starts somewhere. If the critic says they're going to think your ideas are stupid, the compassionate voice might say, your voice matters and it's okay to take risks. So what would a compassionate voice say to you instead? And perhaps have a look at the top recurring thought that brings you down the most and sort of rephrase a more compassionate voice around that one. So hopefully you now have a greater awareness around what you're saying to yourself, and at least one statement that is more compassionate that you can draw on when you notice that you're beginning to give yourself a hard time. It can be really hard to break that habit of negative self-talk. So particularly given the number of thoughts we have, the percentage of those that are repeated and are negative. So every day we sort of wake up and we're already on the back foot, so to speak. So we do have to work quite hard to bring awareness to this. But a useful tip to reframe things, which we spoke about at the beginning before the call started, was adding the word yet to the end of sentences. And this actually acts as a bridge until we wholeheartedly believe the more positive things that we are telling ourselves. So I can't do that becomes I can't do that yet. And it actually softens what we say, because sometimes it can be too hard to move from a negative thought to a completely positive thought. And so we have to meet ourselves where we're at and be realistic on this journey as well. So I'm a big believer that to be human is to be messy. And there will be times when life throws us curveballs and it's hard to keep it all together. So let's look at some simple strategies to help us manage stress, feel calmer, improve our mindset, and increase the space between our thoughts. We're going to very briefly talk about meditation, and then I'm going to take you through a mindfulness exercise and a few short guided meditations. So has anybody heard of Deepak Chopra? So Deepak Chopra is an Indian-born American physician, author, speaker, and educator. And his books and videos have made him one of the best-known figures in alternative medicine. According to the Deepak Chopra Center, research shows that meditation restores the brain. And they did a study where they had people meditating for 8 weeks. And that was to help people to feel calmer. And it also produced changes in various areas of the brain, including growth in the areas associated with memory, empathy, sense of self, and stress regulation. So meditation isn't something to do just because it makes us feel better. It actually changes the brain, which I find really exciting from a neuroplasticity perspective, that we are not stuck with what we were born with, so to speak. What I love about mindfulness and meditation, that they're free and they're accessible to everyone. And meditation isn't about sitting for 30 minutes every day in an uncomfortable position. That was certainly how I was taught many, many years ago. And it put me off. It made it hard. I would talk myself out of doing anything because I didn't have that sort of guaranteed 30-minute spot every day. So I constantly set myself up to fail. But focusing on our breath for just 2 minutes every day does have huge benefits. So we're now going to do a very simple mindfulness exercise and a few short breathing meditations so you can experience this for yourself. So before we begin, I'd like you to take a moment just to tune into your body and notice how you're feeling right now. And on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being calm and 10 being overwhelmed, how do you feel? So just tune into yourself and notice how you're feeling right now. We're going to start by doing a mindfulness exercise for your sense of touch. This is a really simple, quick one that you can do even with your eyes open. So you could do this at the start of a meeting. You could do this in a meeting and nobody would even realize that this was what you were doing. I think you've already got your cameras off, but if anybody has their camera on and you want to switch it off to feel more relaxed, that's absolutely fine. So please take a moment just to sit comfortably in your chair with your spine straight and relaxed, your head straight and your chest open, your feet flat on the floor. And place your hands in your lap, your palms facing up. And when you're ready, please gently close your eyes or soften your gaze if that feels better. And take a moment to simply arrive. Feel the support of the ground or the chair beneath you, and just notice that you're here. Take a few deep breaths in and out. Let go of all the stresses and strains of the day, giving yourself permission to be in this space with nowhere else to be. And if you find your mind is a bit distracted, imagine your thoughts are like clouds floating past in the sky. You notice them, but just let them go. And with every out-breath, you feel yourself becoming more and more relaxed. I invite you to rub 2 fingertips gently together against each other with such tension that you can feel the fingertip ridges on both fingers. Now rub all the fingertips on one hand gently against the fingertips and palm of the other hand, so as if you're rubbing your hands together. And notice all of those sensations. And keeping your eyes closed, we're now going to move into 2 guided breathing meditations. So the first one is a simple breathing technique called box breathing. And it's a steady rhythm of breathing in for 4, holding for 4, breathing out for 4, and holding again for 4. And I'll guide you through the first few rounds. Let's begin. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. So I'd love you to continue to repeat this in your mind, and feel free to adjust the count if needed. So you could try 3 seconds, 5 seconds, or 6 seconds, whatever feels comfortable. And I'm now going to leave you for a few minutes to continue this on your own, silently counting to yourself. So inhaling, holding, exhaling, holding, like the steady rhythm of a tide or tracing the 4 sides of a square. And if your mind starts to wander, no judgment, just gently come back to the breath and the rhythm.
I really feel relaxed. Thank you. This is great.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're just going to do a very quick one. We're going to gently let go of the box pattern and let your breath return to its natural rhythm. So no more counting, no control, and simply observe the breath as it comes and goes. So feeling the sensations of breathing, maybe at the nose, the throat, the chest, or the belly. No need to change anything. Just be with your breath as it is. And if you have thoughts arising, that's completely normal. Just noticing them without judgment and gently returning your attention to the breath. So again and again, coming back to this moment, to this breath. So noticing the inhale, noticing the exhale, and the space in between. Place your right hand on your stomach and your left hand on your heart. And notice the gentle rising and falling of your stomach with each breath. Now slowly bringing your awareness back to your body and the room. Feel the support beneath you. Hear the sounds around you. Taking a moment to stretch or wriggling your fingers or toes. And when you're ready, gently opening your eyes. And if you have some water, taking a few sips. So take a moment just to thank yourself for showing up for this. Even a few minutes can create real calm. And take a moment just to notice how you feel. So on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being calm and 10 feeling overwhelmed, how do you feel now? Hopefully you feel a little bit calmer and feel that shift in your body. So regular short breathing meditations, you can do these at your desk or at the start of meetings. They are very, very simple, and I encourage you just to take a few minutes every day just to do this for yourself. There are lots of different ways to meditate and feel calmer, so it's about finding what works best for you. Lots of trial and error in this process. One of the ways that I love to meditate is a walking meditation. So this is meditation in motion. Now you don't close your eyes, obviously, otherwise you'd walk into things. But as you walk, you feel yourself gently and naturally moving into a daydream-like state, and you become aware of the sounds your body makes when you move. You notice where you feel breath in your body, and all of this happens while you're aware of what is going on around you. What I love about this is it's so easy to integrate this into your everyday routine without adding something extra to your to-do list, particularly when you're already feeling a little bit stressed and a little bit pressured. I now want to briefly talk to you about grounding or earthing. So grounding or earthing is when we connect to the core of the earth. We draw energy up into our bodies, usually through the soles of our feet. And this helps us to shift our energy and naturally re-energize. So we can move out of our minds and into our body, away from that negative self-talk. Our bodies are constantly giving us messages, but sometimes we're too distracted or busy to hear them. And this practice, this process allows us to reduce those repetitive thoughts. It allows for more space for creativity and problem solving. So we can do this by walking barefoot on the beach or the grass. And if we actually lie on the ground, this increases the surface area, so it's a quicker way to ground. I used to do this with my children. When they were little, I would lie on my back and watch the clouds float past and see what pictures I could see in the sky. We can also ground in water, which helps to release emotions and helps us to feel more relaxed. So in a pool, in a lake, a river, a beach, or even in the shower. And I'm not sure whether you've heard of something called drifting, but this is a natural meditative state. So if you don't live near the ocean, you can find some recordings of the ocean on YouTube, but listening to the sound of the ocean is a very beautiful, easy way to help us to relax. I'm conscious of time and I want to allow time for some questions. So, Ahmed, would you like me to talk about boundaries or start to wrap it up and then do some questions? What would your preference be?
I would ask the folks who joined, do you guys want to ask questions now, or do you want Sarah to proceed with boundaries? Just give us your thoughts here, please. Boundaries, okay. Okay, boundaries. I guess boundaries.
Boundaries. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So another way that we can reduce stress is to set boundaries. And micro boundaries are very small practical actions that protect our energy, focus, and mental health at work. They're really easy to implement and incredibly effective for reducing burnout, improving communication, and creating a healthier relationship with work. So on a piece of paper, I just want you to write down one thing that you would love to say no to, but you find hard. So as I work through this list of micro boundary tips for a healthier workday, maybe have a think about what you've written down and whether any of these may be an appropriate answer to that hesitation to say no. And I think we all struggle to say no. This is something that I work with my clients on in their personal lives and their professional lives. Particularly, as I said, if we have a driver of being a perfectionist or being a people pleaser, it can be really, really difficult to say no to our bosses, to our colleagues, and also in our home life. Some of these may seem really obvious, and you may be doing a lot of these already. I acknowledge that sometimes we're not in control of our own diary, but these are suggestions for when you are and to try to regain some autonomy over your working day. So the first one is using calendar blocks. So blocking time, specifically blocking time for lunch, for focused work and short breaks, and adding labels into your diary like focus time or no meetings. So I have a 15-minute buffer on either side of every meeting. And yes, that means that I have less client meetings per day. But what it does mean is that I show up in a more productive and present way. So I have time for self-care around my meetings. I have time to feed myself, go and get water, go to the toilet, stretch, go and stand outside in the garden if it's just been a stressful meeting, whatever it is. But I specifically protect my own diary in that way. The second one is saying, let me get back to you. So using this phrase to pause the urgency and giving yourself space to think. Alternatives to that can be, can I take a moment and circle back? Or let me check and follow up by a specific date or time. I think we do feel the pressure when somebody, particularly when somebody's right in front of us, of wanting to be able to give them the answers straight away, and also feeling like we should know all of the answers to every question we're posed, and that might reveal a weakness in ourselves if we can't. But taking that pause and creating that space for yourself can definitely help to reduce stress. Using do not disturb settings. So is the third one. So silencing notifications during focus work times or breaks, turning off email pings or chat apps for 30 to 60-minute intervals. I have my phone permanently on do not disturb, much to many people's annoyance, including my children. I don't take calls. I get so many spam calls and calls that just waste my time that I figure if it's really important, then they will leave a message. And I check my phone on a regular basis and get back to people that way. Appreciate in your work environment that might not be so easy, but even just if you can switch it off for 15 minutes and have that undisturbed time, that's really good for our brain and for our concentration. Number 4 is email boundaries. So writing things in your signature or your bio saying, I typically respond to emails within 24 hours or whatever your service level agreement may be. And scheduling email checks twice a day to avoid that constant context switching. Our brains are not very good at multitasking, and particularly as women, we like to think that we're great multitaskers, and we have to be to sort of manage everything that is going on. But science does show that our brains are not good at multitasking. So just creating that space to be a little bit more focused with what we're doing can be really helpful. Number 5 is separating work from personal devices. So not checking work emails on your phone outside work hours or removing the app altogether if you're able to do that. And then using your personal tech for your personal life, especially during evenings and weekends, so you can be more present with your family. And this takes a lot of practice, and we really do have to be quite strict with ourselves on this one. And I know I'm a little bit addicted to my phone because, I'm constantly connected to my phone just in the way that I work and social media as well. But I do create that space, and often I will leave my phone in another room so that I'm not constantly checking it. Number 6 is using gentle assertion. So saying things like, I'm at capacity right now. Can we revisit this next week? Or I'd love to help, but I need to prioritize X. Or what would you like me to shift? So again, it's just about protecting your own energy, and where you can, you're not going to be able to do this all the time, absolutely, but where you can, just creating the extra space for yourself. Number 7 is taking brief screen-free breaks. So going for a 5-minute walk, stretching, having some quiet time between meetings, even just looking out of a window or moving your body so you don't have that constant attachment to your screen and you're not constantly scrolling, can be super, super helpful. Number 8 is, if you can do this, delay your first meeting. So start your day with a 30-minute buffer before meetings begin, and you use that time for mindful planning or for uninterrupted work. Number 9 is having a reset ritual after work. So closing your laptop and doing something symbolic. So going for a walk, maybe listening to some music, even just changing clothes. So I'm not sure whether you work from home, but I certainly think since COVID has happened here in Australia, we have a lot more working from home opportunities. And it does mean that those two worlds can merge much easier, and we have to have stricter boundaries for ourselves. But doing these things does create that mental separation between work mode and home mode. And the final one is stop apologizing for boundaries. So instead of saying, sorry, I didn't respond, saying thanks for your patience, I'm just catching up now, or sorry I'm late becomes thank you for waiting. And given the work that we looked at the beginning of this in terms of how powerful thoughts and words are, this is important for ourselves, just again to be able to be a bit kinder to ourselves, be a bit more compassionate to ourselves, and meet each other with a little bit of grace. So maybe just have a little think about what's one small habit that you can use to protect your energy at work. And if you have a favorite micro boundary that you already use, I would love for you to maybe take yourself off mute and share with me what it is that you do for yourself, because it might inspire somebody else on the call to be able to utilize that one for themselves.
Anyone wants to share?
Have you got one, Ahmed? What's your favorite?
I normally go for a walk
Okay.
regularly, and sometimes I bike. Sometimes I just, go near to the beach and just gaze to the sky.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, the beach is my temple. It's my favorite place to be. And just going back to sort of the idea of this walking meditation, that when we move our body, then we are able to get rid of the stagnant energy in our body. So it's a really good way just to really shift things, because our energy does become quite stagnant. And when we move our body, then we can shift that, and that helps us both physically but also mentally as well.
Yeah.
So to summarize our session today, research shows that the impact of our thoughts, words, spoken words and written words, they either impact us both positively or negatively. And we do have a choice about that. So noticing our thoughts and words is the first step to changing them. So when we can meet ourselves there, we're already on the upward trajectory to being able to be a bit kinder to ourselves. Kinder thoughts and words towards both ourselves and others will not only make us feel better, but it does lead to a massively positive ripple effect within our teams and within our work environment and within our home lives. And my final words for you today are that we're not expected to be the CEO in all areas of our life. We readily seek help from a plumber or a car mechanic or an accountant, yet we do expect ourselves to be the expert for our own mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual health. There is huge vulnerability and strength in prioritizing our own well-being and asking others for support. We don't have to do this alone. And there are lots of other people who are also on this journey. And though we may not talk about it, what I have found is that when I've been brave and I've opened up about some of the challenges that I'm experiencing in my life, it's amazing how many other people go, me too. And the walls come down and you connect with people in a different way. So I encourage you to find your tribe, those people that you trust, those people that you know you can be authentically yourself with, and schedule in times to connect with them and just get real, because we spend so much of our lives wearing masks, walking around, trying to be everything to everybody else, and we forget about who we really are and prioritizing ourselves so that we can be the best version of ourselves, not just for us, but for those we love. I wanted to let you know that there is a free 9-minute guided breathing meditation available on my website, which is sarahwilloughby.com. I would love to connect with you via LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram. Basically, search my name and you'll find me. Do feel free to email me if you'd like to share anything or ask any questions privately. You can also book a time to have a chat about the coaching and healing packages I offer, which I hold over Zoom. And if anybody does have any questions, I'm very happy to answer those. So I will stop sharing the screen.
Awesome. This was amazing. Thank you so much for the tons of wisdom, the relaxation, and the tools that you gave us today. I'm really impressed. Again, as usual, that's expected. Thank you so much, Sarah. So, guys, if you have questions, please unmute, ask your question. I'll let you do what you want to ask for. Nope. questions. That means that you've done a great job, Sarah.
All good. As I said, if you'd like to email me or jump on a call, I'm very happy to do that. I know this is it's a personal topic.
Yeah,
It's a hard one.
there is-
It means that we have to be vulnerable, and that's not always easy to do.
Yeah, there is a question actually, Farouk is saying how to ask for help when you're not sure what kind of help you need. This is really deep. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to jump on a separate call with you. I have an amazing group of people all over the world. The connections I have are incredible, that work in all different spaces. So I'm very happy to do that. But I think what I will say is that it can not feel like this at times, but every single question, the answer to every single problem lies inside. And when we get still and when we're able to start to connect with ourselves, we learn to hear the difference between our inner wisdom, our intuition, and our ego. And the more that we practice this, the more that we get still, the more that we learn the difference between that. And we would start to be able to find the own answers to our challenges. The other thing that I do is I ask the universe for help on a regular basis, and I just surrender and I say, show me the next step. And when we let go and we trust, there's messages and guidance all around us, synchronicities, signs. So there's lots of ways that we can get there. Talking to other people, as I said, being vulnerable, finding those people that you trust, and sharing the things that you are struggling with normally leads somebody else to you. I'm a firm believer that when the student is ready, the teacher appears, for sure. I've experienced that many, many times in my life.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sarah. This was amazing, and I'm personally, really, very, very excited about the tool that you gave us today, and I'll definitely use them. I totally try to remember that box breathing technique. That's always a good tool, but sometimes again in the rush of the day and everything that's happening, we lose those kind of good and nice easy tools that is really free and affordable for everybody to use. So thank you so much for reminding us and giving us this real insight about what we can do to save ourselves from our own thoughts and how to protect our minds.
My pleasure. Yes. No, thank you all for listening, and I'd love to stay connected, and thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the day. Take care.
And you take care. Bye.
Bye.